Hello again from A&T Media. I'm Malak Fuad, and this is what I did next. I welcome a new guest each episode, and we take a deep dive into their personal journeys, exploring the twists and turns their lives have taken to understand what these pivotal moments mean. On today's episode, fitness entrepreneur Amina Naguib tells me how her life's pivots have taught her the power of stepping back.
The pauses are the moments where spirit comes in, where creativity comes in. That's where that stuff is born. And those pauses aren't accepted by a lot of people. I feel like I used to uh, constantly be busy. I had to be somewhere, do something, because being at home, chilling alone, staring at the paint on the ceiling isn't the right thing to do. But now I need those moments, my morning practice, my time alone, or even my time with my children without their friends and without my friends around. Those are sacred moments for me that I'd never give up.
Amina Naguib started out in physiotherapy but quickly moved into creating B-URN, a fitness studio with a cult following. She has created a community of people looking to improve their health and well-being, and her studio is an oasis in an otherwise stressful environment. I met Amina in 2005 when I attended a Pilates class she was running, and, disclaimer, our husbands are best friends. I was also her matchmaker. I introduced her to her husband soon after we met. Amina and I talk about how she's been connecting the dots of her life, particularly a major pivot in 2020 that you'll hear more about in a few minutes. This was also a pivotal moment for me. Amina's courage coming out of it and her intense reflection in how she views her life now is inspiring. She's a believer in each of us having the tools to better the quality of our lives. You just need to figure out how to unlock them. Amina is someone who has always explored the human body and health. She studied sports science in Washington, D.C., and then physiotherapy in Amsterdam before coming back to Egypt. Tell me a little bit about why you chose that route. What was it about physiotherapy that attracted you as a profession or as a degree? Why that?
Several reasons. First and foremost, I had a cousin who needed physiotherapy, and we couldn't, or his parents couldn't find a physiotherapist in Egypt. So he had a physiotherapist called Susie from London who was living with them in Cairo, and Susie was so much fun. So me and his sister used to actually do all the exercises with him with Susie. So Susie was my, like, I want to be that. I just want to play with children. I want to exercise and I want to make them feel better and feel good. So that's how the whole physiotherapy thing started in my head.
I mean, there's this kind of a medical element to it, right? So you had an interest in that too, right?
Well, for me, it was purely for the fun and for the non sitting down behind the desk
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
part. But I, throughout, from as long as I can remember, I've always been fascinated by the human body. And that's where it started. It then went to, okay, great, body, but how about the rest? There's so much more. There's the brain, there's the mind. And then later it progressed into, okay, what's beyond the mind?
So where physiotherapy had been the focus and the center of your clinic, it very quickly flipped into being exercise first with a sideline in physiotherapy, right?
Yeah,
So tell
pretty
me about
much.
that. Tell me about how you did that, and you began in Giza, then you moved to Zamalek to a small space, and now you're in a larger space. You also have a center in 6th of October and Swan Lake as well.
Yeah, it began with just the basic mat workouts that I was giving. And then on a trip to the States, I tried a machine called the Megaformer, which was a makeshift Pilates machine on steroids. So they call it the Ferrari of Pilates machines. And I tried it, and from minute one, I was holding a plank, and my hands were shaking, my arms were shaking. I was feeling my heart rate was increasing, and I knew from that second, I was like, I need these machines in Cairo because I need I need them in my life. I didn't even think, but that's the way my brain works. I want something, I go get it. I didn't even think that I needed to train trainers, that I needed a team, that I needed a bigger space. I didn't think of anything. I booked a ticket, went to California, met Sebastian Legree, bought 3 machines, brought them back to Cairo, and then
and he's the inventor of that
yeah,
particular type of machine, right? Yeah.
yeah. Sebastian Legree is originally French. He's now based in LA, and the Megaformer is the machine that we use in 2 of our studios in Cairo, in New Giza and in Swan Lake. And that was also it has a physiotherapy component because everything I choose, I try first on myself before my clients. It's low impact, high intensity. So that's really important for me, that people are safe doing their
Yeah.
workouts, that they get that high after the workout. So you can have a challenging workout, but not get injured on it.
I also think, or I know that it started, the Burn brand began in 2014, right?
Yeah,
So it was post our revolutionary phase, and there was a kind of a new way of living
yeah,
I felt in Cairo. I mean, I remember during the revolution when everyone had curfews. You remember the Nadi, the club, the Gezira club would be alive at 6 a.m. with
yeah,
thousands of people exercising,
yeah,
and because we were home early in the evening, so and that really shifted people's lifestyle choices. There
yeah.
was a massive lifestyle shift, and people's priorities completely changed, and a whole new generation. You caught that wave,
I did.
and you provided exercises or exercise classes. Firstly, that weren't available in Egypt, but secondly, weren't even available elsewhere because. I mean, you can travel anywhere now, and people still won't know what the megaformer is. And I'm a big fan of your Versa class. And when I travel and I look for classes in other countries, I can't find them. So
Yeah.
it's not even that you're advanced for Egypt. You're just advanced. Full stop. There aren't these things around. It's not there. But you've changed the scene in Egypt in terms of what is available and what is on offer. And before it was like you go to the gym or you go to aerobics, like the old fashioned aerobics classes. That's not the case anymore. You've opened up this window for people. Um, and it's happened organically for you, or there was always a kind of an end result that you were trying to reach.
There's never an end result. It's all about the journey. I don't plan anything. Everything that's happened to date has just happened. And the more I let go and just trust my gut instinct, that feeling deep inside, the more I trust that, the more everything just flows. Nothing was planned. I try things out. If I like them, I bring them back. And it's I think my vision is not about how successful the business is going to be, because that's for me not my priority. It's how what I offer is meaningful for my clients and that can make them change and feel better. That's my outtake.
My show is very much about pivot points in life,
Yeah,
and you've had some clear ones. You've had, you started out doing physio, then you moved into exercise. Burn, the launch of Burn is a pivot. The expansion, I mean, all of your business side is you've had lots of pivots. In 2020 you had a major pivot, a very difficult pivot, which I was involved in. And it completely changed your outlook on absolutely everything.
yeah.
It changed how you wanted to live. It changed what you prioritized. It changed who you wanted to be around. I want you to walk me through that as much as you can.
Um, prior to 2020 or during 2020, there was COVID. So I was reading a lot of books. I was doing my yoga teacher training. I was doing breath work. Somehow all these things got thrown into my onto my plate. I was just taking them batsella, basically. And I didn't know why, because they were so different than my usual intense exercises, but I didn't know why they were affecting me or why they were being presented to me, but I just took them and went with the flow. Summer of 2020, we were in Sahel for the summer, and it was the last day of summer. We were driving back from Sahel. You and your kids were behind us in the car. My husband and myself and the children were buckled up, and we had a massive accident where the car turned over. And I mean, uh, I went through something that I actually don't talk about much, but some kind of a near-death experience, I guess, where I was out of my body, looking at my body. Um, I Everything was in slow motion, and all I remember is uh, something telling me, "Is this it? Is this really it?" And then a huge white light. Uh, there was no pain. Everything was beautiful. And I was just floating, and a voice said, "Go back, go back." And at that point, I opened my eyes and I was in the car, which was tilted on its side. And it took me a moment, but my children in the back and my husband were unconscious, and I was just trying to throw things at them to wake them up. And the first one who got up was Yasmina, who was mini 8 years old at the time. And the first thing she
She was right
said
behind you.
was, she was right behind me. The first thing she says was, "Is this life, mommy? Is this life?" And at that point, I couldn't even address the question, but I just told her, "Push your sister, wake your sister up, wake your sister up." And I was doing the same with Ashraf. Uh, but now looking back, is this life from an 8-year-old? Like, what does that mean? That means that she probably went through something similar that I went through. And then at that point, when I figured that everyone was okay or alive in the car, I collapsed and you took over the show. I don't know how you managed to pull out my kids from the car with your two brave boys. Um, but my life turned upside down from that point onwards. A complete shift.
When we return in a moment, Amina tells me how this pivotal moment in her life has changed her outlook. That's right after this short break. Welcome back to my conversation with fitness entrepreneur Amina Naguib. From my perspective, we were in the same same environment, but from different perspectives. For me, I had never been in that situation before, and I had specifically asked my husband to borrow his car that day to drive back with his car and not my car. I don't know why I did that. I really don't know why I asked him for that, but I did. And I think that's also a saving grace. There were lots of points when you look back and you think, okay, that was a good thing, that helped, that was fine, but for me, it was until this day when I go drive long distances, I don't want anyone driving but me.
Yeah.
I don't like being with anyone else in the car. I don't like to be driven. I have a phobia now of being in the car from that moment. And uh, it was very much slow motion for me that moment as well. Coming in and helping as we could. It was traumatic, but in a very different way to what you guys went through, obviously. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can understand that for you, and I think for your husband, it was a game changer, and I can understand that when you're confronted with that. And I think it was a game changer. I think partly because your mind was already open to other options. As you said, you had been reading other things, you had been exposing yourself to other things, so you are receptive to it already.
Yeah.
So your change of direction, I think, happened because you were receptive, not necessarily because of that. That might have been the catalyst, but I don't think that was the reason why you did that move, you
Yeah.
know?
Very, very possible. So I had several options after that. First of all, my husband insisted that we 2 weeks later jump in the car, same positions, and drive the same route again.
It's like
Um,
getting on a horse.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
If
and
you
that
don't do it, if you
is
hadn't done that, you would have had a massive you would have frozen about that, you know?
prior to that, my kids wouldn't get into a car in
Yeah.
Qatar. They were very
Yeah.
like shocked and afraid. So we did that. We got into the car. We took the same drive. It was yeah, I was anxious the whole time. But other than that, we also had to deal with a way of living, or sort of, am I going to just pretend it never happened and move on? Or am I going to, what happened? How am I going to shift? And what I like and to teach my kids, because I always feel like the kids will learn most from what they see, not just what they learn. So what am I doing? And I assessed my whole life and realized I wasn't living. I was on a treadmill. I was just working, making sure they were fed, that they went to school, that they were healthy, that they were all the check, 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 check,
You
check
were
box.
going through the motions. You were going through the motions. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just decided that I just didn't want to live that way anymore. I wanted to be present, and I wanted to give my kids that gift. I wanted every moment to count. I wanted to have a meaningful life because life was about to be taken away from us. So it was like a big slap in the face. Uh, and and thankfully, I had the tools of breath work. I had my meditation practice. I had my yoga. I had my exercise. I had my beautiful children. I had my friends around me. I had my trainers. We have all these tools around us, but it's how, if it's the way we choose, are we going to use them, or are we just going to like go on, have another drink, go out, stay up too late, and keep going on in this cycle of just waiting to die, basically, rather than
And
being
there's a
alive and
numbing
awake.
effect also to there's a numbing thing to what you describe about just going through the motions. You just do it because that's what you've always done without thinking, right? Whereas now you're
Yeah,
stopping and
it's
you're
it
saying, actually, no.
yeah, it's we're trained to do that. So we wake up in the morning, we go to school or work, come back home, but the meaningful part of life, the pauses, the stops,
Yeah.
the pauses are the moments where spirit comes in, where creativity comes in. That's where that stuff is born. And those pauses aren't accepted by a lot of people. People, I feel like I used to uh, constantly be busy. I had to be somewhere, do something, because being at home, chilling alone, staring at the paint on the ceiling isn't the right thing to do. But now I need those moments, my morning practice, my time alone, or even my time with my children without their friends and without my friends around. Those are sacred moments for me that I'd never give up. I also started seeing the body in a, like the first, what we spoke about earlier was all about the physical. What I was taught in school was the human body, anatomy. We have cells that create tissues, and these tissues create organs. These organs come together, they make organ systems, and the organ systems makes the organism, the human. and we have 12 systems in the body. It was all very scientific and just body,
Biological. Yeah. Yeah.
biology focused,
Yeah.
and very
Yeah.
evidence-based science. Like everything has to be proven, uh, versus that was my first model that I learned, and that's my base and solid core. But then now there's a new model. So there's something else out there. There's more than just the body. There's the body, there's the mind, there's the soul, and there's the heart. And that's
Mm, mm.
basically what everyone is, all like the new age people are practicing. And it's the teachings that I had learned prior to my accident, from yoga, from breath work, from meditation. And it's the blending the body and the mind together.
But presumably, Amina, even though you were learning about it, it probably felt a bit abstract. It probably
Yeah,
felt a bit ethereal. But now, after the accident, I'm sure you got much more meaning out of what you were learning, right? It became much
yeah,
more real, more tangible, right?
yeah. It's no, now everything is magical. Everything that comes, like, that I come across is a wow, and I want to learn, and I'm curious. Like, I recently did this experiment with lemons. I was reading about this Japanese scientist, um, uh, Emoto, I think his name was, and he was studying the way you can speak to water and change its energy, and the crystals actually change. And he studied this under a microscope. Our bodies, like a lemon, are made up of more than 60% water. So the way we speak to ourselves can affect the way we actually look. And so my kids and I did this we did the lemon experiment. We put one lemon and surrounded it with a paper filled with, "You're beautiful, you're so young, you're glowing today, blah, blah, blah." And the other one, "You're ugly, you're going to get old, you're fat," like all these negative words around it. And throughout the day, we'd walk around and we'd talk to the lemons. My staff was talking to the lemons. It was bizarre. Anyway, after about 3 weeks, we opened these papers, and the lemon that was surrounded by all this energy of love and the words of, like, love and compassion hadn't aged. The lemon that was being spoken to in a negative manner had shriveled up, it had browned up, and had age spots on it. So now
And were
you'll
they next to
find
each other, Amina? Were they physically near each other?
they were in, so the big area of our house. One was on one side of the room, and the other one
Yeah,
was on the other side of the room. And this was to prove a point, because I used to wake up in the
yeah.
morning and my kids would see me looking in the mirror and saying, "Amina, you look beautiful." So my kids were like, "She's just weird." Uh, it really does work. I believe that
Yeah.
the way we speak to ourselves, the way we treat ourselves, the music you listen to, the frequency of the music that you surround yourself with, does affect how you age. I also was reading about, a few years ago, actually, about white hair. Some people get white hair, others don't get white hair. You can train yourself not to get white hair. I have yet to
Can
dye
you have
my
told me
hair.
that when I was 19? I got white hair at the age of 19. Where were you then?
I'm still working on it, but the power of
Yeah,
belief. So this whole white hair thing is very interesting, because back in the day, why did people get white hair? It was to protect themselves. So the older people used to get white hair when they were being invaded by another tribe, or people coming in, but they wouldn't attack the wise people, the old people, or the children. And they
ah,
differentiate between an old person or a young person by the
yeah,
color of
yeah.
their hair.
By the color there.
We don't need that anymore.
Yeah,
So we are holding on to our ancestors' survival skills, and
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
root of anxiety now. Like, before, the symptoms of anxiety are increased heart rate, you're sweating, that used to come to our ancestors when they were in danger. So it was actually a
Yeah, it's the fight
protective.
or flight syndrome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's in your nervous system,
Yeah.
fight or flight. That's going to protect you. Your blood flow is going to all go to your muscles so you can run fast away from the lion that's running after you. We don't need that now.
Mm, mm,
We
mm.
can let go of that. I at Burn and my instructors, we put you in fight or flight mode so that when that fight or flight mode, that anxiety kicks in the outside world, you can stop and you can say, huh, this is so similar to a workout. But now I have a
Yeah.
choice. And I say that in class. You have a choice. You can stay here or you can just give up. You always have a choice. And the choice is always in your hands. You just have to choose.
We'll be back with Amina in just a moment. Welcome back to my chat with Amina Naguib. Now, for you, Amina, this way of living, it's infinite, right? I mean, you never stop learning. There's always more to do. There's always more to add to your life, right?
Yeah.
Is this something that in your mind you see blending in with your work? Or is this something that you are doing for your own well-being, your own path? Or is there something you see as a way to integrate with Burn?
If it so happens that someone comes and asks me, and that's how Burn started, right? My friends started working out with me, and then it turned into a business. Maybe this will be the same. This is something very untangible. This I still need to connect all the dots because I've had so
Yeah,
many teachers, and one of actually the teacher I did a Who Am I course with Dr. Abdul Hai last year. And the first
yeah.
thing he said at the beginning of the course, I'll never forget. He was like, anything I say that resonates with you or that is correct, I learned from one of my teachers. Anything I say that is not right or doesn't resonate from you, then I apologize. That comes from myself. And that for me really stuck because it's so true. My whole life I've been learning from these amazing human beings. I've tracked down. I'm the kind of person who will read a book. I read like the whole neuroscience part. That wasn't me. That was John Ratey, professor in Harvard, who I stalked and finally managed to get an email back from him. Emily Fletcher, meditation, breath work. I took a breath work class with someone called Richie Bostock in London with a close friend with Nuna. And after that session, I went to him. He's like, I don't train people. I'm like, no, you have to train me. And he gave me a training. So it's about finding those teachers who are going to shape your life. And somehow, I think my next step is how to blend all of this, the physical, the mind, the body, everything together.
I think also, Amina, you know this better than I do. The whole idea of well-being and meditation, especially, is you want to pay it forward, right? You want to have as many people under your tent or in your tent with you to make it to have the ripple effects go further and further afield, right? Isn't that the basis of meditation? That the more people who do it, the better the entire world will be.
The more meditators there are, it's all about the energy. I think we are
Yeah,
energetic beings, and the more, I mean, it could be meditation, but for some people, meditation is a workout. For some people, meditation could be so many other different things. I'd love the whole world to be meditating and breathing and doing yoga and doing exercise. But there's also the side where you can't force things on people. It you can
no,
provide it, and they whoever will resonate with you will come to you, and usually
they
those
will come in
people,
their time. Yeah.
they will come in their time, and those people are the ones who need you most. I had a coach, and I was telling him I had a client come up to me and ask me to teach them about meditation and all that stuff, but I feel like I'm still learning. I don't know what I'm doing. I felt imposter syndrome. He's like, that's so normal, but you can't say
Yeah,
no. Someone came to you and asked for your
for a reason.
advice or for
Yeah.
your help. Just go for it, go with the flow. And so that's how how I generally work.
For me, selfishly, having been your student in 2004, when I was 2005, when I was pregnant, I'm selfishly asking you to bring it on board and integrate some of this into your work, because
Yeah,
we're in an environment where the more ways of finding calm and peace is essential.
yeah,
Everyone's life is stressed and getting more stressed out. And, you know, like the other things that you've brought to the table, people didn't know they needed until it was there, right? So
yeah.
no one knew they wanted Pilates until you brought the machines. No one knew they wanted Versa until you brought the machines. So do it, do it, do it.
I think my team are those people who actually came to me and were like, I want to start training how, like learning how to give burn
Yeah,
classes.
yeah,
And since they're so wonderful and fabulous and have outdone themselves, I have the time now to sit and
yeah.
think about and sort of create something that can work for everyone. The only reason that Burn is where it is today is because I have a fantastic team of trainers. Uh, I have some senior trainers like Nuna and Habiba and Soline and a lot of other trainers who are not just my trainers, they're my best friends. They're also my partners. Habiba and Nuna are my partners in New Giza. And having that kind of a support, that kind of a team who really believe what they are doing. They don't just perform or do it as a job. These people live what they are doing, and that allows the ripple effect to happen. So they pass that on to their clients, and the clients really feel it. One of the things that I tell my trainers is that if you wake up in the morning and you don't have to be sick, but if you don't feel like giving a class, there are 15 other trainers. Someone's going to give it for you, because there's nothing worse than taking a class with someone who doesn't feel like giving a class. So we give classes that we would like to take.
Amina, thank you so much, darling. This was really interesting.
Thank you, Maluk.
That was Amina Naguib, fitness entrepreneur and founder of B-URN. If you're a member of the show, you'll get a bonus episode with Amina next week, where she talks about the intersection of exercise and physical therapy with happiness, and the B-URN community that Amina continues to build. If you'd like to watch extended clips from our interviews, you can find them on our YouTube channel. You can also connect with us by searching for What I Did Next on Instagram, X, or on LinkedIn. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Malak Fuad, and you've been listening to What I Did Next from A&T Media. See you in a couple of weeks.